delicious New York style Easter cheesecake.
Let's see what's cooking. Let's get the facts. Let's see what's cooking. It's time for yoyomax12.
Hello everyone. First thing we're going to do is make the crust. Now I like a ground almond crust for my cheesecake, but you can use a standard graham wafer crust recipe if you'd like, and there are plenty of them out there on the internet. And I'll give an example of one in the description box. Basically that is a cup of ground almonds, quarter cup of melted butter, and a quarter cup of white granulated sugar. Stir that together and then you're going to press it into the bottom of a 9-inch springform pan that's been greased. So press it all on the bottom and just go up the sides a little bit. Then you're going to bake this at 350 degrees about 10-15 minutes until it just starts to get brown. And yes, you'll notice there's some that has been removed into a measuring cup next to the pan. And if you're looking for explanation for that, I made a mistake. I doubled the crust recipe by mistake. So that's why I'm going to tell you to check out the description box for the actual measurements that you need for this crust. Then you're going to place 4 8-ounce packages of cream cheese in a very large mixing bowl. And make sure your cream cheese is at room temperature and very happy. Begin to blend the cream cheese until it is light and smooth. That might take a few minutes. Then you're going to gradually add in 1 1/4 cups of white granulated sugar and continue to blend until it's light and fluffy. Now I don't often show this part on my videos, but you do need to stop your mixer every once in a while and scrape down the sides of the bowl to make sure that it's well blended. Now add in 2 teaspoons of finely grated lemon zest and 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Then you're going to blend in 3 large whole eggs and 1 large egg yolk, one at a time, blending after each addition. So once that's nice and creamy and well blended, you're going to add in 3/4 cup of sour cream because this is a New York style cheesecake. Stir in the sour cream until combined, and your cheesecake filling is pretty much ready to put into the crust. Now because I was making this into an Easter cheesecake, I thought it would be fun if you could have layers of different pastel colors inside the cheesecake. So I divided the batter equally among 4 different bowls, and then I tinted each of the batters a different color using gel paste food coloring. Here is the cheesecake crust. I allowed it to cool completely. And then I began to layer all of those different colors into this springform pan. This is very easy to do. The cheesecake batter is really thick, so the layers don't really want to mix up together when you're adding them. But just in case, be gentle when you're spreading the batter and just spread it nicely all the way around so that you get an even layer of each color. So once you've added all that cheesecake batter into the pan, you are ready to bake it. Now, cheesecake is best baked in the oven in a water bath. Basically, you need to put your cheesecake pan into another container. I'm using this silicone baking pan, or you could even wrap a big piece of aluminum foil on the bottom. And then you're going to place this pan into another container that's a bit larger. And then you're going to fill that bigger container with some hot water. Fill it up so that the water level is about halfway up the sides of your springform pan. Now, of course, you should do this part while the pan is in the oven. It'll save you the very difficult task of trying to carry that big tray with all that water and putting it in the oven. But because the lighting is better on the kitchen counter, I just wanted to demonstrate it here to show you. Now you're going to bake this at 325 degrees for about an hour until the edges are set and the center is just a little bit jiggly. Then you shut your oven off, crack the door open a little bit, and just let the cheesecake cool in the oven for at least an hour before you remove it. Let it cool completely at room temperature, and then put it in the refrigerator for several hours or overnight until completely chilled. Now you'll notice I did end up with a fairly major crack on the top of this cheesecake. I don't know, usually when I use a water bath it doesn't happen, but you know what? Not the end of the world, because we are going to be covering this cheesecake with some delicious goodies. And now for the decorating. What I did was I took some buttercream frosting and I tinted it green. And I used that as glue to glue on these little marshmallow bunny peeps. And I decided to put them all the way around the cake. Now I started doing them one at a time, and then I realized, hey, these things come already attached together. Why are you splitting them apart? Why don't you just put them on in little groups of 4 and it'll go a lot faster? And it most certainly did. So I glued on all of those little marshmallow bunny peeps all the way around. Now for the top, I decided to decorate it with a little bit more of the buttercream frosting. Just to try to hide that gap between the bunnies and the cheesecake, I added this row of buttercream, I guess you'd call them rosettes, I guess, with a piping bag and a large star tip. Now for the center of the cheesecake, I decided to cover it with these little mini eggs that are chocolate with candy coating. Of course, you could put whatever you want. You could put jelly beans, you could put green tinted coconut on there and add a few little Easter eggs as a decoration. Really, that part is completely up to you. So I just kind of organized all of those little eggs and then I was done. Now, a lot of cake decorating, they show you how to make the cake, but they don't show you what happens when you try to cut it. So I was going to show you what happens here. So basically, you have to kind of move the eggs around to try to get the knife through the cheesecake. And as you can see, these little peeps want to fall off as you're cutting. And although putting the peeps on all at once in a row certainly was a lot faster, you end up having to separate them anyway when you cut, because you have to go between 2 peeps in order to cut your cake. So you have to kind of separate them anyway. So if you want to keep them separated or put them on individually, that's kind of up to you. And make sure you clean your knife off in between slices, just so that the colors don't get jumbled up. Now the first slice is always the hardest one to get out of any cake, or any cheesecake for that matter, but it wasn't all that bad. Now I was very happy with the way this turned out. I think that the finished cake is just gorgeous, and I think would make an amazing Easter dessert. Now the actual cheesecake itself is delicious. I mean, it's light and creamy, and it has a really nice kind of very subtle lemon flavor to it. And all the colors turned out really great. The only thing that I would maybe change the next time is I would maybe add a little bit more green food coloring to the top layer, because I found the top and bottom layers were a little bit too similar. But overall, it was a fantastic dessert, and it's something I think you should try. Thanks for watching. Now, I'm often asked what my favorite dessert is, and it's cheesecake, hands down, every single time, closely followed by brownies. Now, I've done a lot of cheesecakes over the years, all sorts of different kinds of cheesecakes, and I put them all in a playlist. So if you're a cheesecake lover, you can check it out.